The next song is called Class Rat, which is in one English it means, rat class. But by white class we refer to all those people that in Haiti and everywhere who are sucking the blood of the people and messing up the country and getting away with it. Okay, and that's what the song is about. Class.
Protection.
You say you're retiring. Will you
I have almost completely retired. I have only about 10 more clients.
7 o'clock yet? 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to play one more song.
Thank you for coming.
I don't know.
See, that feeling I was talking about, see, was the same feeling that makes every one of us here get together to support a fellow human being. So this is the same feeling that I feel that's going on right now. And we should applaud for that, please.
Before Batwel plays their last song here, if it is indeed the last song, because this thing is drawing to a close, I guess, I'm just getting up here to express my gratitude, firstly, to all of you who did come today, and all the bands who could have commanded very large sums of money if they wanted to play here this evening, this afternoon, but who decided to donate their time and their talent. And I'm also going to ask lately for one round of applause also for my wife, who decided that it might be a nice thing to raise a little money for some people. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you.
The next tune is called Manzer Sonia, which means, well, how much? Miss Sonia.
This song talks about how sometimes society takes for granted the role of women, or rather how the women are backbone of society, and this is a tribute to them.
I think that's all. hopefully we'll have an album out by the summer, which we're working on it. So we'll let you know when it happens. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Thank you.
Before we all go, I want to thank very much Nabil and Joseph, who are the owners of the Middle East restaurant. They're really supportive people and they have a great community spirit. And I want to thank Billy Ruan for helping bring all these groups.
I want to thank y'all for coming. And here we go. We're just going to jump right on it. Yay.